Oh. There we go. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, good afternoon. I can't see who's viewing, who's joining me. Hello, hello, hello. As you're coming in, guys, if you could comment your name and your location where you're viewing from, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, this is part 2 of our discussion from last night. Guys, oh my God, last night's discussion was so amazing. So much awesome feedback and perspective and just love and support. I appreciate you all so much. So we're going to get right into this thing again. As you're coming in, say where you're viewing from, state your name, say hello to the people, and we're going to get right into this. If you are watching me live or if you're watching me in the replay, by all means, share this video, love it, like it, heart it, thumbs up it, whatever you need to do just to get the word out, and I would greatly, greatly appreciate it so much. If you don't know me, I'm Tiana Marche of TMJ Media, and this is my platform. Hey, how you doing? Welcome. Come on in. All right, so yesterday's topic, we talked about the kind of woman a real man deserves. And we had a lot to talk about regarding that. So today we're going to get into how no real man really wants to raise a woman. There is no really. He doesn't. A real man does not want to raise a woman. And what I mean by that, now just for you guys who are just now new to this discussion, I posted a blog a couple of days ago entitled Society Hates a Masculine Black Man, and so do some black women. And what that really was is to really spark the conversation. And I know it isn't the first time the conversation is being had, but we're still where we are, so it's time to have another discussion. And so that was really the whole point in sharing that blog, is because here we are as black men and women, and I want to make it clear, I'm speaking specifically to the black women as it relates to the black family. Obviously, I'm of African descent, and so I need to speak to my family first regarding this and what we are trying to do within our homes and rebuilding our families, our communities, as well as the world overall. Knowing everything that we have going on, it's time to get our stuff together, to get us together, so that we can fulfill our purpose in this world as women. Okay, so I've been getting into my sisters a little bit. It's been real talk, it's been tough talk, but it's been much needed talk. And again, the dialogue has been amazing, the feedback has been amazing, and we're really having some breakthroughs. So I'm grateful for that. So like I said, today we're going to get into how a real man doesn't want to raise a woman. Now, follow along with me today. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, it's still up. It's going to be up for a limited time, so I would invite you to go and view that, in addition to the original blog that sparked this whole conversation. And then towards the end of our broadcast today, I'm going to go over a few additional announcements and just kind of reiterate some things, because there's a course that is a follow-up to these prerequisite classes that we're taking right now, or these discussions that we're having right now. So all of this is part of that. So number one thing, and making sure that you are the type of woman that a real man would want, and so that he doesn't have to raise you. And what I mean by that is, women, no real man wants a woman who has a ton of baggage. Now, granted, we've all had life experiences. We've all had some things that have shaped the way that we think, the way that we behave, our actions, our beliefs, all of those things. But it doesn't mean that it's all correct. And specifically speaking to families, or relationships, a lot of times we carry that same energy into our new situations, hoping for a different situation. And so when we have that baggage and that jacked up energy from our previous situation, when we're actually confronted by, or not confronted, but when we're actually in the presence of a real man, we don't even know how to recognize him, because we're so used to what we've been experiencing and attracting that we don't know how to comprehend him. So we actually damage him because we're trying to love him from open wounds that were left by our last partner. Okay, we're trying to love from a broken place. We're trying to love and give from an empty place. So we've really got to clear up our baggage and get clear about who we are, so that we can make sure that we're on the same wavelength as to what it is that we are hoping to attract in our ideal mate. Okay, so for instance, if you break up with an ex, you need to break up with this frequency too. And what I mean by that, for example, if you're a woman and you've ever been cheated on, and then if you haven't taken a lot of time to really clean up that residue from that experience, what tends to happen is the very next person that you get with is going to do the same thing to you. He's going to cheat on you. Okay, I've had the experience happen. A lot of my girlfriends, people that I know, have had this experience happen. And I'm sure a lot of people that you know have had that same experience. And the issue isn't that there's something wrong with you. The only thing that is incorrect is that you didn't take the time to heal and to clean up that frequency that you didn't clean up that frequency of being cheated on, and so you carry that energy, that baggage, you carry that into your next situation. And so a real man, when he sees that and you're treating him like he's dogged you and he's cheated on you, you're going to push him away. Okay, you're going to push him away. So that's why I say no real man wants to raise a woman, because he's not trying to take care of him and heal himself while he's waiting on his wife and then come and get with you, and he's got to heal himself and heal you too because you didn't do your work. Okay, so check that and get that in check, sis. All right. Okay. The second thing that I've heard a lot of my male friends and counterparts talk about is women, we don't listen. We don't listen. And I spoke yesterday specifically about the structure and the foundation of a strong familial structure or family. And I spoke to that because I wanted to paint the picture of structure and order and why that is so important and why that is so needed. We have to have order in order for things to run efficiently. If you're running a home, you have a certain way that you run your home so that it can run efficiently. Maybe you might have a day that you do laundry, a specific day that you do laundry, or a specific day that you go to the grocery store in order to keep everything in order, right? And structured and running smoothly and efficiently. And so, especially in 2018, a lot of us women, we're so strong and so independent, and we've been holding it down so long that when a real man comes in and he's trying to add value to our life by stepping into his God-given role as the man, we don't know how to receive that. And so a lot of times what comes with that not being able to receive that is we don't listen to his guidance and we don't listen to his leadership. Again, I keep referencing the blog because a lot of those things that I'm saying, a lot of these points are stemming from that blog. In that blog, I spoke about how as women, we weren't necessarily taught the structure. And I'm not saying all, that's why I specify some. But some of us, myself included, we were not taught or we weren't given the necessary tools to be able to understand how to really, really operate in a familiar structure where the foundation is strong and is built on understanding a woman's role and a man's role. And I'm not speaking in the new age gender roles and stay-at-home dads and all that stuff. I'm specifically speaking to our innate attributes or qualities that we were given to purpose us for our place here in this world. So as I mentioned yesterday, men are leaders and the strategists. And so women, if we're not listening to our leader and listening to the strategy and seeing how we fit into that strategy and what our role is, we miss the mark. And no man with a vision is going to always want to have to be combative with the woman that he's chosen to be his equal companion. And I say equal in terms of love, honor, respect, and those things, not equal in that, I'm just as much the man as you are. Again, there has to be certain order, right? And so we talk too much. We talk too much. We don't know how to close our mouths. We don't know how to listen. We don't know how to listen to understand. A lot of times when we do listen, which is really not listening, when we do listen, we're actually taking in and we're present for the conversation physically, but mentally we're already trying to highlight and bullet point our points, and so that we can have a quick rebuttal to shut down what our king is saying. And I want to make it also very clear that when I say we got some jacked up dudes out here, we got some imposters with our men just as well as we do with our women. And like I said yesterday, there's a difference between a man and a male, and there's a difference between a woman and a female. Okay? You can be a female in that you have all of the parts that say that you are female, but you can lack the essential qualities that it takes for you to actually be a woman and to be recognized as a woman by a man who recognizes and understands who he is as a man. Because only real men are going to be attracted to real women. That's law. That's the law of attraction. That's energy. It's what your vibrational match in frequency, or it's what you're a vibrational match to, and what your frequency is on the same wavelength of or as. Okay, I think I just jumbled all that up, but you get my point. So we have to start learning how to listen. We have to learn how to listen. And then when we learn to listen, a lot of times with our men, I don't care how powerful a man is, men, their strength is not vulnerability. Their strength is not to be vulnerable. There we go. Their strength is not to be vulnerable. So when it takes a lot for a man to be able to strip off that strength and be vulnerable to his mate. Right, it takes a lot. And so when you have a woman who has been positioned in a strong man, in a real man's life, and he comes to her needing him or needing her to comfort him and to console him, where he can just shed and strip all of that strong exterior and just be vulnerable with his woman. A lot of times we mess that up with our mouths because we start going back into our past experiences, and because it's something foreign to most of us, we don't know how to receive that. So we label him as being weak. We label him as being not being strong enough. And, we think we're just tough as Teflon, and we just got to have a whole army of men just to deal with little old tiny fragile us. And I don't say fragile in that we're easily broken, but I mean fragile in that we're sensitive, we're gentle. We should be carried we should be cared for with a certain level of gentleness and softness, and because we're the soft being, we're feminine, we're not masculine. Got it? So a lot of times when we're not used to when we step outside of the fact that yes, a man, he can still be strong and still have emotions and still be in tune with that emotion, and as his wife, it is your job. And some of you guys may not even get into the whole traditional sense of a marriage. So if you're not legally married, but if he's your partner and you guys are married in spirit, if that's your role for him, you got to know how to treat that. You got to know how to listen, because a lot of times men say things in a way because they've not had the experience of women. Maybe they didn't get that nurturing and that affection from their mother or their grandmother or their past female companions. So anytime that they've tried to be strong, they were shut down because I gotta be strong, I gotta be tough, because that's what all these strong-minded women are looking for. That when we encounter that, we don't know how to handle that. So a lot of times when men say things, they may not intentionally say things as to mask them, but they may not be able to come out directly and express what it is that they're feeling. So as women, it is our job and it is our duty to listen with our spirit, to listen with our feminine energy and our infinite intelligence in order that we are able to give them the feedback and the nurturing and the healing and the love and the support that they need, because those are our innate abilities. Okay, that's why you will never see a man give birth, because he's not the nurturer. He's not the one to do all of that. That's our job, and that's our job for our men as well. Okay, so close your mouth, open your ears, and listen twice as much as you are talking. Okay. Some other things, I got a ton of notes here just referring to just relationships in general, and again understanding how we need to take care of ourselves. I said this yesterday in the broadcast, that a lot of times it's easy for us to try and correct, but we correct from an incorrect place sometimes. And I'm gonna say that again. When we don't know how to listen and how to communicate, because communication is key, and when you don't know how to listen, you're missing a big component of communication, healthy and efficient and effective communication. And so when we don't know how to listen, we miss being what we need to be when we don't know what the need is. And so, like I said, in terms of correction, oftentimes we try to correct, but we correct from an incorrect place. And so, like I mentioned yesterday, we might correct from a place of bitterness or anger or resentment or fear or whatever the case may be. And a lot of times it's wrong. It's always wrong when you deliver and you try to correct from those places. And so it creates a brick wall for that man, and he shuts himself out in terms of being emotionally available to someone or emotionally vulnerable to someone, because he's constantly shut down. But when you're a strong woman, and you can be strong and still be soft and feminine, because that really is the strength of a woman. That really is the strength of feminine energy, okay? Your strength is in your meekness. Your strength is in your ability to be pliable. Your strength is in the ability to listen and to understand that. Close your mouth. Because when you speak, you always want to make sure that you speak something positive. You always want to make sure that you're speaking something that's going to bring forth life, okay? We know I'm not really a scholar as far as Bibles go or religion, but I do know this: power lies in the death Life, see, I told you I'm not a scholar. Life and death lies in the power of your tongue. It's just like the law of attraction. What you speak, you'll see. Okay, what you listen to, all of that, what you speak, every word that you speak is a seed that's being planted. And you want to make sure that the soil that you're planting your seeds in is fertile soil. And whatever the seeds are, they're going to uproot that. You're going to uproot that in that harvest. So you got to be mindful of what you're saying and how you're saying it. And the best way to do that is to listen. Listen to understand so that you can understand what you need to say in response. So, again, in order for us to correct our men, we got to correct ourselves. Okay, so I'm going to read off a few notes that I've been taking in preparation for these courses that this 3-day course, and then the course that's soon to follow, which I'll get into that a little bit more at the end of this broadcast. So one of the things that I learned is in relationships, we have to be a vibrational match to ourselves, not the other person. We have to be a vibrational match to ourselves and not the other person. Because when I'm a vibrational match to me, the very best of everything I want will come to me. So that's why you got to check yourself before you can check somebody else. And when I say check, I don't mean check. I don't mean read. I mean check in with yourself. Be in tune with yourself. Get aligned with yourself so you can know what's good, what's serving me, and what isn't serving me. So that you can get rid of it and replace it with some other things that are going to service you or serve you. That way you can attract that. And then you'll attract what's a vibrational match to what you're projecting out into the world. Okay, so in other words, when people ask relationship questions, they're really asking, how can I get him or her to be the way that I need them to be so that I can feel better? And I think that's really the disconnect with a lot of our relationships and why women feel the way that we do. When we're not used to a strong man and we have a man that comes into our lives and he's strong, we don't know how to handle that. So we shun ourselves, or we close ourselves off, and we buck up to him and we try to be as much of a man as he is, which that'll never work. Or we mess him up because we don't know how to receive him. We don't know how to receive him. And we feel like because we don't know how to receive him, there has to be something wrong with him. So he's got to change in order that I can feel better. And in actuality, no, that's become a vibrational match to what it is that you want. Point blank, simple as that. I know it sounds very simple, but it requires a lot of work, and a lot of times it's so much work that we're not ready to deal with. We're not ready to see, because it's hard to see some ugly things about ourselves. It's hard to look in the mirror and not really like everything about you that you see. It's hard to get that feedback about ourselves that we thought we had it going on and we were popping, and it's like not quite. So it's so important that we get in tune and become a vibrational match to our authentic selves. And like I said yesterday, the saddest part about all of this is that we have to get to a place of we're trying to get to our authentic selves when we were already created and all of the authenticity that we needed. But we've allowed society and our experiences and our beliefs and our limiting beliefs and thought patterns and all of that to stifle us. And now we have all of these artificial labels on us. And that's how we act. We act based on the labels that we've allowed to be attached to us. So in order to detach from those labels, you got to get clear about what's on the inside of you and what's going on. And again, what's serving you and what isn't serving you. And what's not serving you, you need to get rid of it. Because if it's not serving you, I assure you it's not serving anybody else. Okay? Also understand that it is no one else's job to be what you need them to be so that you can feel better. It is your job to be everything that you need to be so that you can feel better about you. Your energy is more pure and it's more clean when you're able to understand and see yourselves as whole and complete individuals, because then that'll show up. You'll become a mirror to someone else who is just as whole and complete as you are. But the same is true for the opposite. When you're incomplete and you're broken, you're going to mirror that back, and whoever's looking at you, they're going to see that, and you're going to see that from them. Because when you look in the mirror, you will only always, absolutely, positively, only see what you put in front of it. And that is no different from anybody that we encounter. What you see in front of you is what you put in front of the mirror. Make sense? Okay. So, especially within our new relationships, when you're new, the two parties we're always looking for the best in each other because we want it to work, and we're, infatuated, and don't let them be fine. Goodness gracious. We forget that they got jacked up credit. We forget that they got 10 kids because they fine. And so we get wrapped up in the newness and the excitement, and what we're not familiar with. But then when the real starts settling in and we start getting comfortable, we start to see some things that we don't like. And it's like, wait a minute, this is uncomfortable. This is new. This is a shift and a change that I wasn't prepared for, right? And so we begin to start pointing the blame at other people. Well, things shifted because, Lord forbid, there's no way anything could have changed with me. So it has to be the other person. And that is a clear indication that you don't need to be in a relationship. If everything that happens is always an outward blame, it should always be you. You should always be the first focal point when something goes wrong. Not to say because you're a shit starter or because you mess things up, but because when you can check you, when you can process information and you can process your experiences and you can eliminate everything that you contributed to it and correct it, oftentimes you'll find your solution there. Because what you're doing is you've recalibrated your energy. You've recalibrated the vibration that you're operating from. And once you recalibrate that and you start operating from a higher place, you're going to be able to attract the higher being from your mate. Okay? So, like for instance, if you have a mate who is very low vibe, low energy, easily to be thrown off course and all of that, and you start pointing the finger and blaming and doing all of that, you're going to get even more of a lower vibration and lower vibe from that person because you're trying to heal brokenness or low vibes with another low vibe and more brokenness. But when you can just say, you know what, I'm going to separate myself from that situation. I'm going to go ahead and align myself and be everything that I know that I am, because that person's energy, I'm not giving that person's energy permission to affect my energy. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I need to do to preserve my energy. And then when that person becomes a vibrational match to this high energy that I've stayed consistent in, then I will be able to experience the best of that person. And when I'm in alignment and in check with myself, then I know that I'm only attracting the best in other people. So if you find yourself in discord or confusion with someone, maybe a relationship with a significant other or friendship or family member, you'll see that when there's a disconnect, when the energies aren't aligned, chaos happens because everybody's trying to solve a problem with the same mindset that created it. You're trying to clean up energy with the same energy that you're trying to clean up, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. So you have to get your energy right. So when you guys, when that person is a vibrational match, you know you're only attracting the best of that person, and so your experiences and your encounters are going to be pleasant. And when they aren't, instead of pointing the finger and saying you got to change, you need to do this, you need to fix that, you say, you know what's in me that attracted that energy? Let me clear that up. Let me go get me together, and then I'll be able to draw back to me what I deserve, whether it's from that person or from someone else. Okay, so you got to check in with you. And another point also, the more you resist, the more you see it show up in your relationship. So if you're resisting a person's bad attitude, the more it's going to show up, because you're creating whatever you resist, it persists. What you resist persists. Okay? And what I mean by that is what you continue to, when you focus on what you don't want, you're focused on what you don't want. So therefore, you attract more of what you don't want. Okay? And so that's my point. The more you resist, or the more you focus on what you don't want, which is creating a frequency of resistance, you're allowing that. You're allowing room, and you're making room to create more resistance. And it just becomes a snowball effect. And then now you got this big old ball of resistance, and you trying to figure it out, but you can't figure it out because you're constantly pointing the blame, because you haven't taken any accountability and you haven't done a self-check to make sure what your role in that is. Your role just may simply being to disconnect and saying that, you know what, I'm not going to justify that behavior by not allowing myself to participate in that behavior. And then that other person has no choice to either clean it up or move around. But you're in control of that. Another point, as you say, I got tons of notes. Another thing, when you see characteristics in your relationship or in the personality of someone else that you don't like, and you give them attention and you don't want them to go away, you activate those things, and you want them to go away, you activate those things in you. Let me read that one more time. When you see characteristics in your relationship or in the personality of someone else and you want them to go away, not the person, but the characteristics, what you are doing is you are activating those things within yourselves, and so therefore they show up more. A point that I made yesterday, I think that was, let me just go ahead and over my notes here. Something that I said yesterday, when you, and I want to make sure that I get this point. Here it is. I mentioned when we've become conditioned, and I'm going to paraphrase just for the sake of today's conversation, when we've been conditioned to dealing with the wrong energy, we subconsciously align ourselves with that frequency. And as women, because remember, I'm speaking to my sisters, as women, we become that. So again, that's actually pointing, and these are two different sets of notes, but what that is, that's just confirmation. So thank you, God. But that's even more confirmation that, again, the things that you persist, or excuse me, the things that you resist will persist. And then they'll begin to show up in you and in who you are. Okay? So, and then you'll say, you need to be different so that I can feel better. You need to be different so that you can feel better. The responsibility is never on someone else to make you feel better. Another misconception in relationships, I just want somebody to come in and make me happy. I'm going to tell you like this. That ain't going to ever happen. As long as you are waiting for somebody else to come into your life and make you feel better, you're never going to feel better. Because you're waiting for something to show up. And the thing that you're waiting for to show up is you. And all of that is within you. Because guess what? When you're waiting for someone to make you happy, you're currently from a state of lack of happiness. And so guess what you're creating? And guess what you are attracting? You're attracting more frequency, and you're attracting someone else who is also unhappy. So now you are unhappy. Then you got this person over here who you're banking on making you happy, and they're unhappy. So now y'all just two unhappy people pointing the finger at the other person because, well, you didn't make me happy. Well, you didn't change, and that didn't make me happy. When all you got to do is search within to make yourselves happy, and then you will attract happy back to you. And everything else that you want, because this goes beyond, your energy goes beyond relationships. But in the sake of the conversation, or for the sake of the conversation, we're going to stick to that point. Excuse me. So, understand that it is your job as an individual to make peace with where you are and find a way of aligning with your desires. I spoke on that yesterday. Decide, write a list. And I'm not saying write this list, oh, I want them tall, and I want them, to be making 6 figures, and I want them to have 6 packs. And those are preferences, not standards. Those are preferences, not standards. It's okay to have preferences. It's absolutely okay to have preferences. But preferences can be altered. Preferences are not necessarily deal breakers. Okay? Standards are, though. Standards are a set of boundaries and parameters that you set for yourself to say, I'll accept that, I won't accept that. That's having standards. That's being disciplined. And that's you reinforcing what it is that you want. So get in tune with that. And like I said, that's how you get aligned with everything that you're desiring. Excuse me. Also, another thing, it's not things that are wrong with other people that's upsetting you. It's your attention to those things and your subsequent activation of something that you don't want that then conflicts with you what you do want. So let me give you this. So I wish I had a whiteboard. I do. I just don't have access to it right now. So I'm going to try and draw this. Y'all don't talk about my drawing skills. Don't talk about my drawing skills. But we're gonna try to get this thing. So let me get something that you guys can see clearly. Okay? Y'all know my little demonstrations be jacked up sometimes. If you watched yesterday's video with that whole magnet thing, that thing was a mess, right? So we have this thought bank. This is our thought bank. Okay? Some people, let me get a different marker. Okay, so this is our thought bank. This is our thought bank right here. I know it's backwards, but that's this thought bank. Okay, so this is where all of our thoughts, every experience, everything that we've ever felt, ever saw, ever heard, ever spoken, it's all right here in this thought space. Some of you may even know it as the vortex. Okay, so this is your vortex. So what happens is, in relationships, okay, so in relationships, we have good experiences, and then we have not so good experiences. Okay? Told y'all my little diagram is jacked up. So this is, remember, this is our thought bank, or our vortex. And then we're speaking in terms of relationships, our bad experiences and our good experience. So when you have good experiences, you're like, yay, I want more of this. You're happy. But then you have the negative experiences and you're like, you know what? That's kind of for the birds. I don't want that. But what happens is, this is contradiction. So if you want the good things, you're like, I want more of that. And so what happens is, in your relationships, all of your good experiences, you're like, I like that. I want that. I want that. I want that. So that goes into your thought bank. That goes into your vortex. Okay? And I'm going to talk more about that. That's a whole nother class. But then you have bad experiences and you're like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. So then that goes into your thought bank. That goes into your vortex. Now, the beautiful thing about the vortex is, while it can have bad things that go into it, it will only produce good. Okay? And what I mean by that is, it will only produce good. Because here's what happens using that. Y'all, let me show y'all one more time, one more again, right? Your thought bank. So what happens when you have your good experiences, it records that. When you have your negative experiences, it records that. But the thing about your thought bank or your vortex is it's always positive. It can only produce good things. It can only produce good things. I'll say that again. It can only produce good things. This is your sacred space. This is your internal sacred space. This is where all of your desires are stored up. So when you don't want something, guess what? It sends a signal saying, I don't like that. So now there's a contradiction. And what happens, rockets of desire are preceding you, and source, divine, God, source, whatever you call it, him, her, they, whatever it is, what happens is the rockets of desire are preceding you, and source is agreeing with every one of them and lining all of those possibilities up for you. But here's the kicker. And so, again, if I say I had a bad experience where I was cheated on. Well, now I know I don't like the way that feels, so I don't want to be cheated on. It's going to remember, she doesn't want to be cheated on. So that's going to go in my thought process, or my thought bank. It's going to go into my vortex. But the kicker to that is, when you haven't trained yourself yet to be a match to what you've dreamed into place, instead you're looking at this characteristic, and it might be a big in-your-face kind of thing, or something that's a deal breaker, or that's really challenging. How are we going to get through that? Right? And trust me, I get it, I understand. But when you're looking at this characteristic and it isn't a vibrational match to what you want, all of a sudden there's discord between you and the desire that you've been, that you've been honing and putting into your thought bank, right? You've been putting into your thought bank and what you're observing presently. So what I mean by that is, you say, I don't want to be cheated on. I don't want to be cheated on. I don't want to be cheated on. And so now your thought bank or your vortex understands she doesn't want to be cheated on. She doesn't want to be cheated on. But because you haven't aligned yourself and you haven't cleaned up the energy of being cheated on, what you're doing is you're prolonging those things that you put into your thought bank. You're prolonging them, and you're creating a frequency of resistance so that you can't even attract it. Because you're asking for something that you haven't trained yourself to be able to receive. I'll go back to that first sentence. You haven't trained yourself yet to be a match to what you dreamed into place. Taking it back to this whole overall movement and this discussion that we're having. When you don't, when you put all of these things out here, you say you want all of these things, but yet you don't know how to, you don't position yourself to be able to receive it. Another point, if you say I want to be a millionaire, but you're constantly pinching pennies and you're afraid to spend and you don't want to spend this. Well, millionaires have the extra income to spend frivolously. There we go, frivolously. When millionaires can do that, millionaires aren't checking their accounts every day to see, oh, do I got enough? Do I got enough to go buy this? Do I got enough to do this? Let me beat it to the bank. You don't have to do that. But until you can start spending money now in that way, of course being wise, obviously, but until you get to that space, you'll never attract $1 million. And so it is with these men that we're shunning because we don't know how to receive them, ladies. When we haven't gotten ourselves so focused on what we've put into our thought bank, it can't come out until we become a vibrational match to it. So all you got to do is focus on feeling good. And you can't feel good when you got issues that you're still holding on to and carrying. Remember in the beginning of this discussion today, I talked about cleaning up your baggage. Well, until you clean up your baggage or your bad experiences, until you clean that up, none of the good stuff that you put into your thought bank or that you put into your vortex is going to come out because you're not ready to receive it. Because if God, if divine, if the source, if the universe should happen to give it to you, guess what? You're going to mess it up. It's just like giving a 5-year-old car keys and expecting them to drive. I know my example is a little bit egregious, but you get my point. As much as that didn't make sense, neither will this if you haven't aligned yourself to receiving what it is that you say that you want. So again, no man is going to try to come into your life and shape you into what you say you want from him. He does not have time to groom and shape you and mold you, and he doesn't have time for that. So you gotta do that for yourselves, okay? Also, my third point with this is a normal person living a very conditional love. Remember, that was one of the things that we talked about yesterday, that men deserve love. We all deserve it, but we're talking about our men, right? A normal person living a very conditional love would say, you need to change what I'm seeing because I can't observe this and be in alignment with what I want at the same time. When you count on others changing conditions or performing so that you can feel good, you're always obliged to them or sort of in a trap. It's really what's wrong with most of our relationships, okay? So let me go back and review that really quickly because I know that was a lot to take in. It was a lot to read too. A normal person living a conditional love would say that you need to change what I'm seeing. In other words, you need to change you. You need to clear up your behavior because as I'm seeing it, that doesn't align with what I want. Well, sounds like you got to make a choice. You got to make a choice. And again, that is one of the main issues in our relationships. Okay? And it's easy to be an issue in our relationships when from the beginning we don't know who we are. We don't know who we are. So therefore we don't know what we need. We don't know what to seek in our partners. We don't know how to respond to our partners. And now we got this discord. There are no good men. Black women they have too much of an attitude. And you see how that discord continues to happen. And again, going back to the blog, guys, it is so imperative if you're following me and you're watching these videos and you're tuning in with me daily and you're planning to take the other course that I promoted yesterday, you're going to miss that mark. You're going to erase that. What my point is, I got off on a tangent. If you're following these courses, you're gonna want to go and read that blog because that blog is really the foundation of these discussions and what's to come. Okay, because there was a systematic plan in place to dismantle the familiar structure for Black families. And so, as it is evident in 2018, where most of our homes are headed by single Black females, that's a shame. That's a shame. And I know that's not the case in Caucasian relationships or homes. It happens all across the world. I get that. But it's more prevalent in our Black community, in our Black families. Thus, you see all of the crime and the poverty within our communities. It's all a part of this plan that has been devised for years and years and years. And we are a living testimony of that plan being successful until we start having these discussions, and until we start clearing up and we start getting clear about who we are, until we return back to, I went to see a Yana this past weekend, last Saturday actually, and she said, she made reference to returning home. Returning home is your authentic self. It's before you came into the world. It's your purest form. If you've got children or a newborn baby, they come into this world so new, so innocent, so pure, unaffected, right? Unperverted. They come into this world purely. That is, until the residue, because that's even a whole nother other conversation. But even the residue that's carried by the woman can transform into her infant, into her embryo, because energy is infinite. It does not die. It transforms through anything. There's energy in this phone. There's energy in this phone. There's energy everywhere. Energy everywhere. And it's just transferring and it's just transferring. So when you've got this stuff, these frequencies from a parent or mother who was with child, she's passing that on. And if that innocent baby that's born begins to align with that and there's no uprooting of that, they continue to repeat the cycle. Something that I want to share, I'm not going to share that just yet. I'm not going to share that. But if you've read my book, Power, I talk about a lot of things that happen, and even as I'm discovering things, because where I was when I wrote this book, completely different. Sometimes I'll read this as a sidebar. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll read this and I'll be like, wow, even writing this book, I had no clue. And think this book was a testament of my healing, because every time you peel back a layer of an onion, there's more layers to be peeled back. So you got to get through. So this was the first layer of my journey and my healing, and I didn't know that at the time. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm here. I've arrived. But no, sweetheart, that was the first chapter. This was K5, right? I'm in middle school healing right now. So without losing my point too much more, we gotta, when we don't clear that up, we from our childhood, we continue to live that. And I spoke about that last night as well. It and some of us may call it generational curse, but I like to call it generational frequency, generational energy, because that's all it is. That's all it is. Okay? So we have to clear that up. Excuse me. So getting back to these notes, if you can make peace with where they are, getting back to the point of other people and the things that you see that you don't like, if you can make peace with where they are by acknowledging that there are some things you like and things that you don't like, and then you turn your undivided attention to the things that you do like and allow those characteristics to be active within you. I spoke on that a little bit earlier, where I said, if you see some negative energy and if you're in tune, you can feel it. And I'm like that. Like, I can physically feel energy if it's not right. And, people say, well, you're an empath, and I get that. And so when you're a light, and I'm a light, when you're a light, as most of us are, your authentic self is a light, but so much of us are clouded with darkness that we forget that we're light. But when you are a light, you find yourself, let me tell you this, a light bulb is not going to be, I don't want to say that. How do I want to say this? There is no purpose of being a light if you aren't able to lighten up a dark situation. So therefore, you have to be around some dark situations, some dark people, in other words, some low energy, in order to bring it up. But the gag is, if you too are still operating from that dark, low energy, your light won't shine at all. So understanding that when you're a light, when you come against energy, or you come into, or you encounter energy that is not favorable, instead of aligning with that energy, detach, tune up your energy, and stay consistent with that energy. Allow that light and that energy to shine through to you, and then you will attract that back. That's pretty much what this that little passage there is saying. You don't have to be swayed. You don't have to turn against, and you don't have to waver. Just be consistent and awesome. Be consistent in having a high vibe. Be consistent in calibrating your energy so that you are only attracting that which you want from you. And it's okay to have an off day. And on those off days, that's where you say, hey, I'm not answering my phone. I'm not on social media texting and, posting my internal issues, looking for other people to lighten my life. No, I need to tune in, because everything that you need is within. Everything that you need to win is within. But how you going to win when you ain't right within? I just had to say that. But it matches. It fits. You got to get you together first. Okay? So when you allow those characteristics to be active within you, so that when you say that person's name or when you think about them, that's the only vibration that is activated within you. Because that vibration is activated within you. It's so in alignment with what you want. You are in perfect alignment. And when you are in perfect alignment, anything that you are, any of your signal or your whole signal, whatever, let me rephrase that. Because that vibration is activated within you, it's so in alignment with what you want that you are in perfect alignment. And when you are in perfect alignment, anything that is on your signal, or in your thought bank, or in your vortex. Hey, Tasha. Hi, Joshua. Thanks so much for joining, guys. If you are in there, everything that is in there is going to come out, because now you're a vibrational match to it. Going back to an earlier point, now you're able to receive it because you've prepared yourself, you've challenged yourself, and you've gotten rid of every contradictory frequency that is not a match to what it is that you're trying to manifest or attract. Okay? Also, any relationship issues are stemming from you having sloppy vibration about that person going on in the inside of you. So let me say that again. Any relationship issues you're having are stemming from sloppy vibration, from you having a sloppy vibration about that person going on on the inside of you. The law of attraction is delivering to you a myriad of things. Sometimes it's wonderful, sometimes it isn't. But it is always a reflection of your vibration. Remember, it is always a mirror. You can only see in a mirror what you put in front of it. So say for instance, I don't like how you're treating me, but I take full responsibility for it. I'm extracting something from you, something that I don't want. So now I'm going to take some time apart to clean up my frequency by focusing only on the good. That way you're able to train yourself into a vibrational alignment with what you want. Be so good at seeing them the way that you desire them that you're now only a vibrational match to the best of them. I know that was a mouthful, so I'll say that again. Be so vibrationally aligned to only the best of everything that you're looking to attract, and that is all that you will experience. And let me tell you what, when a person isn't in alignment with the very best of you, they're going to be MIA. It's the law that now how they go MIA, it might be an argument that led to them no longer calling you, no longer texting you, deleting you, blocking you off of Facebook, whatever the case is. But be grateful in that when you know that, and only when you know that your energy is only aligned with the best of something. So don't fret. They walk away, let them walk away, because I'm only aligned to the best of you. So anything other than that, if you can walk away, then you're not at your best, because I'm on my job and I know I'm at my best. So think of it that way. Okay. Let's see what else. And guys, we're going to be wrapping this up very soon. Let me check in. I know we've been going for a minute now, but I still want to check in and see where everybody is. Do you guys have any comments? For some reason, I can't see your comments. I can't see your comments. And so, guys, again, this is, I know I've been doing most of the talking, but this is interactive, so by all means. There I am. Okay. So by all means, leave your comments. I'm just going to share this really quickly. Share this video, like this video, so we can get the word out there and start the conversation. Okay. We've only got a few more points to go over, guys, and then we'll be wrapping up. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, perfect. So yeah, basically get your energy in alignment. Okay, let's see. What's my other one? Talked about that. I talked about that. Any questions, guys? Are there any questions? I can't see your comments or anything. And I know a lot of people may not see this right now. It's not typically the time that I would normally go live, so that's perfectly fine. However, if you're watching the playback, definitely leave your comments, leave your questions that you may have in the comment section, and we can finish that. I'll bring that into tomorrow's discussion. Guys, if there are no questions or comments, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. Before I go, I do want to make another announcement. We've got about a good 9 hours for you guys to still participate and take advantage of this wonderful exclusive offer, which is a 21-day course that I am going to be launching, and actually that's going to be taking place next week, as of next week, Thursday. And so just to recap, I am, again, I've come up with this article. I've come up with this course entitled The Essence of a Woman. It's a 21-day course, and it's so intensive. We're going to do a lot of work. There's going to be coaching. There's going to be one-on-one calls. There's going to be live interaction in a private group that you guys will be able to be a part of, so you can kind of go there with your questions or your concerns, and share your breakthroughs, share your journey with the rest of the team. And we're a team, so we're going to be going through this process. I'm going to be going through this process with you, as I am still tapping into the essence of the woman that I am and the woman that I've become. So it's exciting, and I just wanted to be able to share that experience with you all. And then also, really, what I'm going over as in depth as it's been these last couple of days, and as it will be again tomorrow as we wrap up, it does not compare to the amount of work, and again, the intensity or the intense intensive part of what we're going to get into in this 21-day course. So the link is up now. Again, it's only going to be up for another 9 hours. So the link is still going to be there. Act fast. I'm only going to be able to work with 20 women. And those first 20 women to sign up are going to be able to take the course at a discounted rate. The details are in the link. That's on this page, the Team J Media page. If you're following me on IG or Instagram, the link is there as well. So you'll be able to link that. You'll be able to get access and get a little bit of additional information. Now, what comes with that 21-day course, like I mentioned, you're going to get the one-on-one coaching calls. You're going to get the live classes throughout the week. You're going to get emails from me. You're going to get assignments and things that you're going to have to work on. You're going to get a live interactive group that's private, so all of social media doesn't know what's going on with you, and what's in that group will stay in that group. Also, if you don't already have it, you are going to get a free copy, signed autographed copy of my latest book, Power. So you'll also get that in addition to the course and the membership in the group at no charge. And then you're also going to get this lovely workbook. I know it's backwards, guys, but you can see that. This is going to be your workbook that you're going to be able to go through and follow along. Again, there's going to be assignments. There's going to be rituals. There's going to be things that we cover. And so this will kind of be your study guide or your go-to guide to get those things done. So it doesn't look like I have any questions or concerns. Thank you all so much for watching and viewing. Continue to spread the word. I'm so proud of the work that we've done so far and just having this conversation. We're breaking chains. We're breaking generational curses. We're recalibrating our energy. We're returning to home. We're returning to our authentic selves, and it's amazing. My brothers, my sisters, I love you guys so much. There is so much more work to do, and I'm excited that you guys are allowing me to be a part of this journey and that you're joining me on my journey. So without further ado, thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, if you are just visiting and viewing as a guest. And stay close to these pages because there are announcements that's going to come up, exclusive things that are only going to be on those social media outlets. And also, you're going to want to sign up for my mailing list because a lot of my information, a lot of things and courses that I teach aren't really on social media. This is actually going to be the first course, the first real course. I mean, all these courses are real, but this is going to be the actual first intensive course that I'm going to be doing online because I typically do a lot of my coaching offline. And so therefore, a lot of times when I'm sending out email blasts, social media doesn't get that. So you're missing out if you're not connected with me. So get connected with me. Again, guys, I love you all so very much. I appreciate you. And again, I mentioned this yesterday, but I am officially at 18,000 followers. I know to some it may not be a lot, but to me that's everything because I know the beginning of this journey. I know what I set out to do, and it's confirmation to let me know that I'm on the right track. Even on those days where I feel like none of this is working and what the hell am I doing this for, that's evidence to let me know that I'm on the right track. And my brand is continuously growing, and I could not do that without all of your love and support. So again, I thank you. I appreciate you so much, and I'm honored that you are that you would entrust me to do this intensive and this sacred and this vulnerable work with you all. So thank you so much from my heart to yours.